Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, February 23rd, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. We're also taking a peek over there at the stock market, which is set to open up here in the next 4 minutes. We'll also take a peek over there at precious metals like gold and the dollar index, or the DXY. Lastly, we'll take a look over there at any type of financial media that is going on or any type of crypto news that is going on. And then, of course, hopping into the chat, hanging out with you guys as we get ready to kick off the weekend. We did a Markets in the afternoon yesterday, crazy as it was. We caught it live. A little alert went off the moment that we saw that the Dow had reached the height of the Roaring 20s from 1921 and 1929. All eyes on it, biting fingernails on if we're going to have reactions that end up coming up in here for the stock market. Of course, it's not something I'm cheering for, but you all see it with your own eyes. What an intense moment. This, of course, is happening while Bitcoin is back at its 702 retracement. We're now on day 10 of being stuck underneath the 702 retracement. So we're starting today's day off at $51,182 over here for Bitcoin. Looking over there at the altcoin market, just still kind of stuck in here. We've been talking about Wyckoff accumulation schematics. When you end up escaping these things, like, you can just have a lot of kind of volatility happening around these areas after our sign of strength. Still, it's just kind of my thoughts in here until maybe we get something more clear showing up on Bitcoin, like an ABC correction actually showing up in here first. So still just kind of the waiting game here for the altcoin market at the exact same time. Well, we do still seem to have the one just keep on going. You can see it going up there. You have Filecoin has been killing it too. But you got, a little bit of green. Others is actually in the green today. Total 3 just flipped slightly into the green, but total and total 2 down about 0.25%. Impacted, of course, by Bitcoin and Ethereum, but otherwise, the remainder of the altcoin market on average about even, and then others, anything outside of the top 10, that whole average is up slightly today. Looking over there at XRP, still just the dance, wanting to see it be able to kind of hold itself here throughout the rest of the day, but it's been kind of doing this each day where it gets down into these 53s, then gets back above 54 before the day is over. Looking over there at the total, at the market cap of XRP, story is still the same, just hovering in the same zones. The 200-week moving average has been that support that's been coming in here. It still just sits right down there on top of the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, so just kind of another supportive level still coming in there. After we spent a year and a half in Wyckoff, we know we got the kind of false escape there that happened when the SEC lost against Ripple and XRP was deemed not a security. Pulls right back in with the rest of the market, as the rest of the market was still just hanging out in here. Then eventually it does get its escape on the top of the range and now building support systems up here. So like I keep talking about, not wanting to see lower lows come in here at all, because not only would it structurally be awkward, but then at the same time, this has been the supportive level, the top of the Wyckoff accumulation, and then you even have the 200-week moving average in there. So you have kind of a confluence of things in here to say, hey, this is an area that we should be holding here for XRP. Do not dip lower. When I look over there at the altcoin market, the story is just kind of the same thing, like with what we've been doing in here, to not dip way down below here. When you look at things like, where are you, others? There you are, others. It's a very clear, just ABC correction that we have experienced there through December and January, right? Here we go. ABC, it's totally fine for us to come dancing around into these areas and play all throughout here and all this stuff. It's fine, but not going below the lows that were set there on January 23rd. So still, it's just a waddle. This is what the things that I've been talking about for the last week or two, that, escaping, these are all great things to see, but I'm not really quite ready to start putting on things like ultimate surge for altcoins, or inbound breakout levels and whatever, because typically we can see that volatility can really emerge right in here at these levels before things can start marching their way up higher afterwards. I'm not saying we're going to have something in the level of that kind of aggression that will happen in there. This is a liquidation event throughout the entire stock market. However, just kind of still saying, there could still be some shenanigans that happen right in here. Once we can kind of prove that to be done, and if we get something kind of confirming the finishing of just more continued sideways, a slight up for Bitcoin, then we'll start turning on the booster rockets on this. Again, my optimism does remain over here in the altcoin market, unlike, of course, the most famous hated person in the world. We spent the last year and a half pointing to 702 retracement. Of course, everybody wants to posture opposite of it right here. Now that we're here, we'll see what the market does. Like I said, I'll cheer for you guys for Bitcoin, but you know where you stand. You know where you're at. Otherwise, we're still just kind of waiting, and I'm still just kind of on caution with the altcoin market for a dip to still continue happening in here. But like we showed here, we should not be taking out those lows from back in January. Otherwise, structurally, could be somewhat of an issue happening in here. Interesting thing about others is that others has obviously already hit that level right over there. But when we look to things like total 2, not quite. Right, so not quite. So a little bit of a mixed read on there at this point. Just going to kind of remain cautious on expectations of time until there's like a clear signal to say, hey, look, we got down there. There's a little bit of a flush. Maybe a liquidation happens or something like that. And then we get something clear over here on Bitcoin. Be like, all right, cool, let's go. But otherwise, the story is still the same. Picture is great. This is what we're looking for. It's what we've watched for a year and a half, waiting to get that. We've got all the, you couldn't script it any better for it to look any better than that. Still just the patience game happening in here. So, all right, moving on over to the stock market. Stock market is now open. Dow is up 102 points, sitting at 39,175. 4.236 sits there at 39,206. So you're about 30 points away from a 4.236 extension over there on the Dow. Looking over at the DXY. DXY still just waffling around in here. We've been watching this back here. We got the bottom down in here. We've already done a 618 retracement. It could have been enough. The big thing, of course, like I've talked about really for the last 2 to 3 months, we roll back down in here. This is where I'll start probably getting more cautious as well about the altcoin market. Otherwise, still uncertain if it's ready to do it just yet, or if there's one more little bounce to happen before that ends up coming in. As for gold, let's see. Nope, that's not what. Remember, this is old data. There you go. There's gold. Gold sits up there at $2,025. Silver's having more of a struggle day, but really kind of flat. Sitting at $22.72, whereas gold is up about $1. Big thing we talked about yesterday as well with gold. Of course, it sits up here near the all-time highs. This is not historically normal behavior in the event that this is a true sustainable rally over here in the stock market. We typically do see gold go crumbling down, and we're still just not. If you haven't caught the newsletter over there on Substack, blockchainbacker.substack.com that I posted last week, we of course have done stuff on gold before, but we really reiterate that there's something that is not settling in here about this when it comes to Fed funds rate, when it comes to gold and what's happening in here. And we go back and go through all of Bitcoin's previous rallies, right? We're getting here to these extensions. You've got Bitcoin at the 702 retracement. You go through all of these different rallies and these breakouts and the timings of Bitcoin's bull runs. And where have the false breakouts in the stock market happened? And what did Bitcoin do in those circumstances? We're matching a lot of those similar things of the false fake breakouts, and why Bitcoin hasn't followed yet now at 70 days since the stock market has set the all-time high, similarly to like 2019 and 2020. Otherwise, moving on along, we'll go ahead and hit up the financial news that's going on out there. Stock futures are little changed after S&P, NASDAQ notch best day in more than a year. Yesterday was a rampager day as these things are getting up to their 4.236. Just a killer day over there on NVIDIA. I think it did 16% NASDAQ notched best day in more than a year. Here's why investors should stop worrying so much about concentration risk in the market. What does that mean? Breadth. The entire stock market is being held up by a handful of stocks. And the way to look at that is to look at like the Russell 2000, right? The Russell 2000. You have the indexes sitting way up there at their all-time highs. But then what about 2,000 other stocks? We don't have the same thing happening in here, right? Here's your peak back over here in November of 2021. The breadth of this market is very concentrated into just a couple of stocks, and not everything is going. 90% of stuff, most stuff is not going. And that's why they're saying, here's why you should stop worrying about that. So, all right. Jim Cramer's top things to watch in the stock market. Jim Cramer did tweet this morning, roaring economy. So Sonova CEO tries to reassure rattled investors after stock suffers worst day since March of 2020. Intuitive Machines stock set to rip higher after moon landing. Warner Brothers Discovery misses estimates for revenue and profit, but boosts free cash flow. We're talking about like Discovery Channel? Warner Brothers Discovery? I don't know. Okay, moving over to Bloomberg. Goldman pushes back bet on first Fed interest rate cut to June. So we went ahead and looked at this. I went and pulled this thing up. 97% probability that the Fed will still be paused over there. Come into March. Look at the probabilities out there. 76 probability they'll still be paused over there in May. And then a 52% probability they will be cut. They will cut over there. No, more than 52. What is it? 65% probability that they would cut over there in June. So prices in two there. The thing about cuts, right? So the thing we kind of keep reiterating and hammering in there is that the market is anticipating that the Fed is going to cut the rates, and that's going to just be because markets are bullish and good, and we're just going to send things up. The Fed tends to cut things when things go bad. So surprises in the markets, things get scary, things change very fast, and then suddenly the Fed emergency cuts. That's the type of stuff that we saw in the last two cutting cycles that you had back in 2007 and you had back in 2019. Is not to be like, hey, we're just going to keep this thing roaring. They kept things held until problems started to emerge. When problems emerged, that's when the cutting started, and that's where everything fell apart and collapsed on itself, waiting enough time for that to end up happening. So once problems start emerging, these numbers will probably start to change. We know that we do have a CPI print coming out in the second week of May, so that will likely, if I'm just doing paper napkin math, which I love to do, I do believe that will be the bottom of CPI, is the one that we get over there in March. And so we'll see what the Fed has to say about it, because it does appear that the data following March, once you start getting April, May, June, July, go on throughout the rest of the year over year CPI is probably not going to be able to go any lower than the reading that we do get next month, so long as the next reading does take us a little bit lower. So it's kind of like a Fed checkmate situation that has happened over here in regards to the narrative and soft landing. South Carolina to Haley, thanks for everything, but we prefer Trump. U.S. stock futures pause after record-busting rally. NVIDIA set to top $2 trillion valuation in first for chip makers. Fidelity manager dumps nearly all treasuries on growth optimism. China's central bank tries to catch markets off guard with surprise easing. You know what I miss? Like you used to always get like lots of like raging bull stuff over here in CNBC. I forgot. I don't know why it feels like that moment where they would be doing that. All right, there you go. Moving on over to any type of crypto news going on out there in the world. What is a helium miner and how does it work? ChatGPT had a public meltdown, but OpenAI says it's fine now. Yeah, I saw that over there on Twitter yesterday. That some weird, complete behavior. And like, it was AI gone rogue, which I think is the thing everybody fears, right? But of course, it's just ChatGPT, right? It was just, it's just ChatGPT. Who cares? You're just typing into a chat and it's chatting back, kind of weird. But the AI model went nuts and just didn't make any sense anymore. Starknet's STRK token drops as Nethermind and airdrop hunters dump millions. So Sounds like a fun piece. Anyway, let's see if there's some other STRK news out there. We'll see if it shows up in here. Are we over here? Yeah, all right. Sam Bankman-Fried is back in court. Waives conflict of interest for lawyers. Bitcoin pre-halving pullback calls for 45K Bitcoin price support test. Former U.S. President Trump, no longer anti-Bitcoin, says he can live with it. Bitcoin price rejects at 53K as futures open interest hits a 2-year high. They've had that headline up there for 3 days. Google to fix diversity borked Gemini AI. ChatGPT goes insane. Would Sam Altman's $7 trillion ask really secure our future? Athena Labs founder clarifies USDE stability amid high yield worries. So nothing really going on in there. All right, we won't. Outside of the FUD piece, they did change the tokenomics on that Start coin, by the way. They announced that yesterday. It was even made it to mainstream media news, which was bizarre to me. DB had posted it too. I guess there was a token unlock of 11% supposed to happen in May or in March or April, which has now been reduced to less than 1% or something like that. So that coin caught a big pop yesterday. Avalanche suffers outage, fails to produce block for almost 2 hours. Avalanche developers say they are investigating the issue. FTX estate can sell near 8% stake in AI startup Anthropic, the court rules. The motion to sell around 7.84% of Anthropic that FTX held as of January 2024 had been filed in early February 2024. There you go. FTX on the sell train. Let's go over here, go back to Senor Bitcoin. That's gonna be our news for today. There you go. Dow 39,187. Bitcoin 50,962. Day 10 under the 702. Geez, Uniswap just popped up 40%. I'm going to tell you why, because we've seen it. Wait, don't look at the chart. No, we got it too early. What was the one that popped the other day that everybody was losing their mind about? Was it VeChain? Right? This is classic Wyckoff, right? And we were like, hey, Uniswap has the same one. I don't own Uniswap, by the way. But Uniswap's got the same one. Boom. There it goes. These are littered everywhere. These exact same things are littered everywhere. So there you go. Congratulations, Uniswap holders. Look at that 40% pump. Can't get mad at that. All right, there you go. That's what we got for today, guys. You're back at the 702 still for day 10. Holding out strong, just chilling there for 10 whole days, 2 whole weeks sitting underneath there. As for the market's been doing all right. It's just waffling back and forth, still continuing in that uptrend. But still kind of waiting for this thing to figure out if Bitcoin's going to give a little bit of a deeper correction first before it can get another march upward. The big watch over there, of course, is going to be that stock market, and this is kind of a watch every day. Remember, we've shown these things over there on examples like Ethereum and examples like Bitcoin. These things can pop up, but the obvious thing is the big above the 3.618 below, and like to have examples of what we've watched before. Right. It's okay to pop above, but don't. I'm not laying my guard down. That's for sure. The thing that will definitely bring a sigh of relief, and if you guys haven't read this thing over here, right, the big thing to really keep that eye on is this guy, and it is gold. And gold is not giving a signal of what happens in each true go time situation. If this was an echo bubble for the Dow, it still just is caution. why are you here at the same time? So caution, caution, caution about all of that. We're watching it like a hawk, and nothing's going to change on how we're looking at the market here until something proves it otherwise, right? You get things like this. You get through the 6-1, you get through all retracement levels, you get the Dow through all extensions, and then you get gold to go crumbling down to the ground. Hey, man. We'll look at it through a different lens. Till then, this is definitely the lens, right? Not this, not that. Get rid of that. This is the lens. But all right, here we go, guys. We're hopping into the chat. Happy Friday. We'll keep it light, tight, and bright. We'll run through it pretty quick today. Congrats to Uniswap holders. Man, what a pop. Okay, Hot Tub Brian, right out the gates. 5 memberships. Thank you very much, HTB. Annie Philpott, follow it in the same footsteps. Just seconds later, had also gifted out 5. Andy, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hot Tub Brian. Brandon Faruguya? Hey, BCB, how's it going? I love your channel. I know you say $9 XRPs if all things align perfectly, but would that work for market cap wise? I'm a little bit confused, right? So like if we end up having some type of upthrust, right? In the events like this, right? If the market cap is only going into a retracement and that's going to be the stall out price, right? And it's just going to stop right here. No, mathematically, it doesn't make any sense, right? It would have to be the event of something of this magnitude where it actually does escape higher out of here, and similar to something like this, right? So that's what we would have to see happen in the market, is something along the lines of that, where it does actually escape from there, and that the market cap of the altcoin market does not get rejected right in here, because you're correct. Mathematically, you only have about 350 billion. Let's do the math. I don't want to, those napkin. 450. You have about $450 billion to get right there. Essentially, you would pretty much have to have one coin and one coin only run. And that's never happened for XRP. XRP only runs with the rest of the market. So mathematically, it wouldn't make any sense. So you'd have to see it actually escape. Thank you, Brandon. TG. Part of United Health Group suffered a major cyber attack. Suspected nation-state attackers. Fascinating, given its weighting on the Dow. Yeah, I keep seeing like the AT&T stuff. Everybody jumped to the conclusion yesterday that it was a cyber attack and everything like that. But I think we kind of get quick to jump to that. And I don't know if that you may be telling the exact truth of what happened with United Health Group. But we also had the stuff on. The break, everybody knows it on Twitter. Just in, breaking news. You guys know all those accounts that do that. Very quick to call AT&T stuff a cyber attack with no information on what it was. I also think a cyber attack is something that everybody sees coming, right? Like, so it's not something that. Typically, when surprise events happen, they happen like totally unexpected, and it's something that we couldn't think of. Bobby B. So first time, long time. I understand that your thesis for Bitcoin will only retrace, but you also mentioned you don't believe Bitcoin will ever reach all-time high again. Is there data supporting that, or am I looking too much into a throwaway comment? Well, I haven't said Bitcoin will never set an all-time high again. I think Bitcoin could set another all-time high again after this thing has finished, right? And this thing finally starts turning its way back up and starts going in there. Like if this is a completed grand super cycle for Bitcoin, this is the retracement of the grand super cycle, because you've now had 3 super cycles for Bitcoin, right? This was number 3, and that was this whole period here from 2015 to 2021, right? This is why so many people got the top completely missed, because they're judging this as a cycle, they're judging this as a cycle, and just missed it entirely that these were the same cycles, right? The concept that this from here to here is one large cycle, and that this whole area here is actually wave 4 consolidation, is why people got the top completely missed that this was the area to be watching out for. 4.236 extension of wave 4, right? Contracting triangles happen within wave 4. Let's do this. Right? So conceptually, if we're saying this is a super cycle, and then we're saying this is one whole super cycle, this is not 1, 2 separate cycles, not saying that, but saying the whole thing is one. And we should see similar price behavior to it, to previous super cycles. Wave 4, contracting triangle consolidation, 4.236 extension. Wave 4, contracting triangle, 4.236 extension, right? So the question is, will it never reach an all-time high again? If the whole thing is a super cycle, and it means we've now completed 3, because this isn't the first, this one right here is not number 1, right? This is actually number 2, because we've done this before too. We'll have to ignore this wick, these wicks here, these liquid wicks that go from 6 cents to 0. But to show you, the super cycle, right? Super cycle. Super cycle, right? 1, 2, 3. And how could that possibly be when there's that much time that passes by? And you could see it right here, right? You could see it in the super cycle. You could see it right in here, right? So if you've had 3, right, what does Elliott wave theory suggest? A, B, C, right? So that you have officially A, B, and C. An example of that is like Ethereum in here, right? Ethereum rallies back very strong in here after pulling back down here. Which is where we go for Bitcoin, right? Below previous all-time high to the 786 retracement, below previous all-time high. But it's just an ABC, right? Still goes on to a new bull run, but it takes a long time. And it's conceptually on whether or not you have done the research and has, like, once you see it in the stock market and you've done all the research and you've studied the breakouts and you've studied the economic conditions of quantitative easing, federal funds rates, and what's going on in the market, you can clearly see why these ones failed, why these breakouts failed. And then you can see why these ones were the true breakouts that happened in here. And then what you actually end up seeing is Bitcoin escapes from its multi-year bear markets into its new all-time highs on these ones. And you can see those economic differences between each one of these actually end up happening. And then what you see in this one right here is you see that this matches the same conditions as this, and it matches the same conditions as this, and does not match that, or that. And that's not opinionated. I mean, it's just not there, right? Like federal funds rates, what are they at during these time periods? They're at 0, right? Money printing galore, right? What's gold doing upon the breakouts? It's getting destroyed, right? Those are the opposites of the events that we have happening in here. And those are the same things that were happening in these moments in time right in here. If the trend direction changes for the United States stock market for a prolonged period of time, how are you going to get a new all-time high for Bitcoin anytime soon is the argument, right? But if it goes into a full-blown correction, which is like, oh my gosh, 3K, it's such FUD. It's because we do these things. This isn't unusual. I mean, this happened to Netflix. This happened to Solana. This happened to Ethereum. But, you know, there's a big narrative built around Bitcoin saying it's completely impossible. But having a full-blown correction below that previous wave, that wave 4 consolidation, which 4.236 extensions, it does happen. And if there is something like this to end up occurring, which we are now 30 points above the 4.236 extension, if it does end up happening and this thing reverses on itself, how is it going to not keep going up? You have to believe, if you just don't study it, if you just listen to the narratives to say these things don't matter, you just haven't looked at the data because I've shown it. But essentially, that's the cause. That's the reason why. It's not 4-year cycles that are based off of anything related to Bitcoin. It's fully related on events that are occurring within the United States stock market for when Bitcoin's bull runs have happened. So if there's a trend change in the United States stock market, how do you expect a new all-time high for Bitcoin? Oh, volcanoes and magic. If this thing goes busting out of here, and this thing goes flying off into la la land, well, that's like the best news for Bitcoin in the whole world. And then guess what? You'll probably see a new all-time high for Bitcoin relatively soon if this thing busts out of here and keeps on going. So it's all on the idea of, if this thing tops here, if there is troubles here of what happens when these bubbles get this big, very difficult to see how Bitcoin's going to set a new all-time high anytime soon. If this thing proves that it's no problems here, if this thing goes busting out, guess what? Good times are probably very, very, very close for Bitcoin rather than far away, like in that scenario. But that's your problem now. Thank you, Bobby. Jordan, hey, can you give us a brief history of how you became BCB? What was your old job? How did you learn TA? And what year did you start? When did you realize that you knew what you were doing much? Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. I've been an entrepreneur for about over a decade, and have run businesses that required a lot of forecasting and a lot of international trade. There's a lot of complications when it comes to international trade and having to do predictive analysis in regards to supply and demand and incorporating in timeframes with that. And when you are moving products overseas and you're moving them around, you have to forecast seasonal demand. You have to forecast if you're going to be experiencing growth or if you're going to be experiencing decline based on competitor competition within a market. And you have to, and when you make your guess is based almost 3 to 4 months ahead of time. And so it was something that I had been accustomed to having to do that a lot in what I was doing for business. And I had created companies. I've done stuff, where you work 100 hours a week. I watch people in this space who are trying to build businesses within crypto and businesses on the XRP ledger and projects. And, they're crying and beating their head against the wall and, not getting paid anything while they're doing it all with the vision and working countless hours per day and not getting paid. And that is always what it is like when you start up a company. That in my experiences that I have to work sometimes 100 hours a week, where I wake up in the morning, 4 a.m., I bust my laptop is already right next to my bed. I grab my laptop, I'm start working at 4 o'clock in the morning. I go all day long until 11 o'clock at night, set the iPad back down, not the iPad, the laptop, and then at 11 o'clock at night, and then wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do it all over again. And you're not making a penny. But eventually, after doing that for about a year and a half, my businesses did become self-sustainable to the point where I was pretty much working a 4-hour work week and making a very, very comfortable living doing it. Um, and with all of that additional time, and being in a lot of groups, like being in like these mastermind groups of people with large companies, it was back in 2016, 2017. I just like everybody, I had heard about Bitcoin back in the day. You know, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was like in 2011, 12, something around there. Um, and it was these people that I worked with at a corporate job, and like out of your entire office, if you work in like a cubicle environment, like there's a couple of guys in there who are just total dinguses, you know. And of course, it's the dinguses in the office who are like, "Hey, Bitcoin, you should help me. You should let me help you set up mining on your computer to teach you how to mine Bitcoin." And I'm like, "What is Bitcoin?" "Well, it's like this money, but it's like digital, and you can like make it on your computer." I'm like, "Well, how much is it worth?" Seriously, like 25 cents. I'm like, if it had come from anybody else in the office, but it had to come from the two dingai of the office, right? I'm like, "You're an idiot. No, this is stupid." Um, so here I am, you hear about it every once in a while in the news or something like that along the way over the years. But then now it's 2016, 2017. I'm running these businesses. I've got all this spare time in my hand. And these people in these mastermind groups I'm in are talking about Bitcoin. And I'm just like, okay, you guys aren't the dinguses. You guys are not a group of dingai. Why are you talking about Bitcoin? And that's when it like really caught me. And I'm like, okay. And then, mind you, I have all this spare time on my hands because I'm working the 4-hour work week at this point. And then my brother-in-law, I'm at like something, who knows what it was. Maybe it was Easter or something. I think it was probably Easter of 2017. My brother-in-law is telling me that he's mining Ethereum. That was the final straw that broke the back. Like, all right, I've missed enough of this. I'm missing something, because this isn't you just like buying it and talking about it. Like, you're physically doing it. Like, you're committed to it. And like, when it comes to tech, I consider you to be the smartest guy in the room, and you're physically mining this stuff. Okay. So I go, that's it. Of course, I have my laptop with me because, entrepreneur, I take it everywhere, even on Easter to my in-laws. I go upstairs and I go and immediately set up a Coinbase account and start buying crypto that day. I remember buying Litecoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin, because that's all that you could buy on Coinbase, those three. And that paved the way that I started, really diving more into having all this spare time and a history of doing well and enjoying the forecasting part of my work. And when it comes to like being an entrepreneur, you have to be like, especially if you're a sole proprietor, you're the accountant, you're the marketer, and you do everything. And one of the aspects that was always fun to me is the problem solving part. That's the part that's the competitive advantage part. Can you solve the problem of the difficult part the most? And so just doing this and trying to solve these puzzles became very intriguing to me. And during 2017, right, it was just up only, right? Like that at that time, Bitcoin was like $1,600, $1,700, $1,800, something like that, in 2017. And it just kept roaring. It just kept roaring all year long. And making lots of mistakes along the way in the bull run up. You're trying to think you can overtrade it. You think you can do it because you look out on Twitter and you see so many dingai who are claiming they're doing really well. And you're just like, how are these dingai doing so good? And you go on and everywhere and just they're like, hodl, buy the dip. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm going to outtrade you is what I'm going to do. And market ripped, right? And like, dude, like we did great. Money went up, made quite a bit of money in 2017, but not as much as just buying it and holding on for dear life. And that taught me a lot of lessons on being like, is it important to try to actively trade every move? That's why it just wasn't important to me in 2022 and 23 to be actively trading all these things. It was all just like buying, because it's of lessons that I've learned, like accumulate. I don't give a crap about 2 to 3% trades to move, because what I know is things like that will happen. And your simple little thing that you're doing causes that 47% thing to get missed. And so it's just about accumulating, but figuring out when are those times to do that. And then trying to figure out where are those times for those peaks to come in. And so I started watching a lot of YouTube. And I, at the same time, was now just like my old self, where up at 4 a.m, looking at charts, charting, bed late at night, charting, and dedicating a tremendous amount of time to it because I had a lot of time in my hands. And I like to stay busy. I'm not the type of person who can sit around and play video games all day or watch TV all day. Like, I like to watch TV after 8 o'clock at night as I'm getting ready for bed. But that is the only time I watch TV throughout the day. So anyway, it became a passion of mine. It became an obsession of mine of the time spent doing it and in it, studying all the different things, going through TradingView, because right, TradingView's got an ideas tab, right? Going through tons of people's ideas and realizing, okay, that sounds smart. Oh, wait, that's actually really dumb. And then you go through them all and you watch them and you follow and you go through a lot of the learning mistakes, right? What worked, what didn't work, get wrecked, don't get wrecked, moon, doom, all over. And you just go through all of these things 100 times. And then I started finding things that were consistent, things that were working more often than not. And I had already gone through the 2018 bear market. So we go up in 2017, it's all crazy and wild. Then we go into the 2018 bear market. S hits the fan, and I make this big decision of hey, you know what? We're going to document this because these were little things that were happening in 2017. Because in traditional markets, you don't have to deal with that level of volatility. But in crypto, you have to deal with extreme volatility in a 24-hour-a-day market. So you go to sleep, and things could be happening crazy. And it's actually wild because we don't get too much nighttime volatility like we used to. In 2017, in the middle of the night, everything could go absolutely wild. Like China and Korea doing whatever they're doing. And right. And probably the opposite for them. When it's night for them, we're over here doing crazy stuff. It's always wild. It seems to be more tamed at night now. But going through the 2018 bear market and going through those similar emotions that everybody goes through in the very beginning, and prices go up really fast, you get really excited, you get really euphoric. Prices go down really fast, you think this is the end, it's game over, the thing is going to crash, and sometimes the narrative's bad. And going through 2017, I got to watch how those narratives are a lot of times complete BS in crypto. Watching China ban Bitcoin multiple times and the timings of when they do it. And it would go back into a 702 retracement and then China would ban Bitcoin. It was like clockwork. We'd go here, go back, and then China bans Bitcoin. And then you go in for a C leg, right? So it started learning oh wait, we're kind of consistently making these ABCs, right? These ABCs. And these things are going back into retracement levels before they go into C legs, right? And just kind of noticing a lot of these things and learning with how fast this market had moved. And then realizing that every time we got to the peaks, it was euphoria. And every time we got to the depths, you could feel capitulation. I don't feel capitulation really anymore. I think the only time I really felt pain during 2022 was a Luna and UST collapse. It was just very unsettling to me to see something actually go to zero. Mind you, on this channel, we don't even talk about Luna, UST, or FTT token or anything like that. I've never owned any of those tokens. We don't talk about those tokens on this channel, but I didn't like seeing it. It was unsettling to see that actual something like that actually happen. But in these moves, like you could feel capitulation. You could feel it gets down so bad that you're like, oh my gosh, is this thing really going to collapse? Nope. Oh my gosh, is it really going to happen? Nope. And then, that's what it was like, you know what? We've got a lot right on the charts, but the emotions things are very difficult in here. And so I started like all this emotional tracking going throughout all of here and keeping this really strong emotional log of what it was like to go through this. And the tracking kind of started right in here, and then it goes all throughout here, and the tracking goes all the way to here. And you get this really good glimpse into what my psychology was like during moments like this. And I had already made this decision that I was going to be tracking my emotions, and that I was going to be buying, and that I was going to white knuckle it. And if I had to go down kicking and screaming, I was going to do it. I'm buying, and I'm going to white knuckle it as hard as I can. And you watch all of my emotions go through it. And then you watch how, like, just all the things that we've talked about over here in this time period, it's all the same stuff. And I tried to share that with you guys so much during here, the emotional logs and what that was like in those moments in there, and how we were experiencing the same thing. And then as it rallied up, you get to see my emotions really change. And then the market tops at the retracement levels and then pulls back. And it's like, okay, we're getting a lot of things right now. Like we're getting a lot of things where we're making right decisions. We're recognizing emotions. And, the where we are right now is that this is a contracting triangle. And that after contracting triangles, we tend to go for 4.236 extensions. It's what we tend to do, right? Here's one right here. Contracting triangle. So I said to myself, not really said to myself, but at the time I'm watching YouTube a lot, and I am fully convinced at this point, this is what we're doing. We're in a contracting triangle, and we're going to go for 4.236 extension. Fully convinced of it, that this is where we're at in the market. And right over here, so I'm watching lots of YouTube videos. I'm just kind of like, not digging what I'm seeing. And like by this time, right, I've already been from here all the way to here, and like everybody watched all the YouTube videos along the way, and you see everything you see with technical analysis charts, that it's or technical analysis YouTube, that a lot of it is based on just kind of like fantasy indicators that are kind of made up, or lots of hedging of wording, and that up, down, sideways, but it sounded smart, but then like you reflect back on it, you're like, wait a minute, that person like literally didn't tell me anything. Like they had no real true idea. They said up, down, sideways, and every video is like that. And I started, realizing I'm very convicted. I'm very convicted that what we're doing is this, and that we're going to go into a 4.236 extension. And I decide that I think I could do a good job. So I do the research on, what does it take to be a successful YouTuber, right? Like everybody's probably dabbled in trying to make a YouTube video. You bust out your phone, you just kind of record it, throw it up there, and then you get like 14 views. And you're kind of like, oh, YouTube kind of sucks, But there's like formulas to it, right? Like it's knowing the YouTube algorithm. Like you have to create an attractive title. You have to create an attractive thumbnail. Viewers tend to watch videos that have an intro and an outro, right? Those are simple things that you don't really think about, that don't really change anything, but they're just like the things that people are important for the algorithm of YouTube. The rest of it is whether or not people like you or not. That's just whether you retain people or not, if you can relate to people in any way. So I decided, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to relate a lot of just what it's like going through all the emotional ups and downs of this, because I know that was really the hardest part of crypto, the ups and downs emotionally in the market. And And then at the same time, having the conviction, we're heading there, right? So I started making YouTube videos, and like most people, it was a slow start, right? First 10 or 15 videos, 100, 200 views, nothing happens. And then XRP Yoda tweets one of my videos, maybe like my 15th video or something like that, I remember watching it live on the app in my phone, and I was getting like 300-400 views an hour, and that was crazy. It was absolutely nuts. I was sitting at my dinner table showing my wife. I'm like, it's panning out. Like, it's working. People are seeing it now. And then going through all of it, right? We went through COVID together. So, I mean, COVID only shows up 4 months after I start my YouTube channel. And this is where I'm like explaining to everybody, this is called the double tap bull flag breakout backtest V bottom, right? I'm telling you guys that 4 months into creating my YouTube channel, because I've been through them. I had already been through double tap bull flag breakout backtest V bottoms, where you double tap on top of the high and then short squeeze it and then V bottom and then get your way out of there. And that's what ends up happening over there in the United States stock market, right? Like this moment here, right? So this is COVID. That's it. It's just standard stuff. And we go through it. And again, white knuckle, look, this is normal. This is what we should be doing. And, off and away we go. So I created the thing just by having a lot of spare time and then becoming, as I typically am when it comes to making money, obsessive amount of time spent in here, obsessive amount of pattern recognition, and learning about it on my own, both through studying and through experience, right? And a lot of times it takes those hard things to get the experience, and it takes the pain, right? And it takes going through it, and a lot of times recognizing is the emotional sentiment of the market happening where it should be happening. You go through these things; they're kind of they're pretty recognizable of how the market sentiment reacts. And our market sentiment was very much like that from back in here. And what typically happens too is like whenever that day ever comes again, right? Like where a bottom does come in there, it will be the same. It will be the same over again, and nothing changes in the market. The retail euphoria never changes. The pessimism and the gloom and doom, it never changes. And when you have technical levels that you're looking for, you kind of look into that to say, hey, how's the rest of the crowd doing at this time? Oh, they're all like, oh, okay, they're not all screaming for that one thing anymore. They're now super mega optimistic at this particular level. And because you just know, this was where the crowd got wrong-footed. And I remember it because I've been through it. This is where the crowd got wrong-footed. I remember it because I went through it. COVID, it's where they all got wrong-footed. Remember how many people are saying, no, we're going down, right? You get in here, laser eyes and diamond hands, the crowd gets wrong-footed. Just admit it's a bear market, crowd gets wrong-footed, new all-time high. We're going to 100K, crowd gets wrong-footed. We're going to 12K, crowd gets wrong-footed. The crowd will always get wrong-footed when the collective herd has the same opinion. So when you recognize that over and over and over again, you start implementing that into your thoughts of like, all right, well, what's going on with the TA at the same time when that's happening, when that whole crowd has flipped together, when they've all had one opinion and then they've all flipped it to another opinion. What is going on the charts at the exact same time? And right now, obviously, the crowd screams for a breakout of the 702. Do I cheer for that? Of course I cheer for it, but it doesn't change anything at the technical level of where it's at, right? Because we've found 100 times of where these can be a problem. So the story of me getting started is really all that. It's what I did before. Entrepreneur, business, worked a lot of hours, eventually got to a point where I didn't have to work very many hours. A lot of smart people I knew were suddenly talking about crypto in early 2017. And then, I got pulled into it. And with all that extra free time, I had a lot of time to be able to try to solve a new problem and make new forecasting. And in doing that, started recording videos about it. And sure enough, people started watching. And here we are now, 5 years into making videos, and 7 years into crypto. So there you go. You asked for brief. I gave you the extended version. And that was probably a 20-minute explanation, but still 2,800 of you stuck around for it. If you liked the story, please hit the like button. All right, thank you. I'm going to get through this a little bit faster because I did tell my wife I would try to keep this at an hour. Robert Barker, hi BCB. I looked at the developer report for Phantom. It's high on the list. Do you own it? Do you have any thoughts on it? I haven't seen it on the list, so no, I haven't. I'll recheck. Did you see that on develop? You saw it on developer report. So I'll go look at it. No, I don't own any. It has slipped under my radar. It doesn't mean it's something bad. I just haven't noticed it. Pat with 20. Thank you very much, Pat. Dilkansky, good morning, dude. We appreciate your focus every day. Thank you very much, Dilkansky. Crypto student gifted at BCB membership. Crypto student 99. Thank you, sir. Where is the whiskey guy? Crypto for Sweden. You told us, BCB, you are the puppet master for who is pulling the puppet strings. Praise the BCB. Are you a whiskey guy? Oh, no. I'm not a whiskey. I don't drink, man. I've been sober for over a decade. But I was just thinking, where's whiskey guy 2? Boy, I'm way behind. JJ4 Pope, BCB, thanks for your unmatched dedication. How many days was the average of the fall style breakouts before the crypto plunged in the financial and COVID crisis? So we did not have crypto during the great financial crisis. We had it right here, right? So what are we at here? How many days is this? Depends on where we're technically going to start it at. Are we going to start it here? I say let's go with the fair one, the shortest amount of time, right? 113 days. Right, which of course is the same thing as what we have now, right? This is right extended federal funds rate, unlike our past ones where we're at zero bound interest rates for true breakouts in equities. Nick, you look at XRP as an ABCDE, but what if it's an ABC where the C leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that could take us to 15 to 20 cent zone January of 2017 on monthly dump also. So let's take a look at it, right? So here's what he's asking. You're saying, oh, wrong chart. I gotta get it. Boy, this could take 10 minutes. So we're gonna give you the quick version here. So you're saying where's my box? There we go. Would you say 12? 15 to 20. Okay. So, but what if it's ABC? So is your question if this is one large contracting triangle that we go to the lows, right? So that's why one of the things that we're watching real closely right now, and I keep talking about it with this, not taking out these lows in here because it creates a very scary picture, okay? But like trying to think of charts where I can pull them out quickly. Fortunately, we're not seeing it in the rest of the market right now, right? The rest of the market has gotten to its bottoms and it's already reversed in here, right? But like, I don't know why this is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Right? No. What is this? Is it like inverse or something? What am I thinking here? There you go. Right? No, it's Bitcoin. There it is. Like this. Right? Like that's what you wouldn't want. Right? And we're pointing at something like that. That's what you wouldn't want, right? So you have a lot of things going for it in regards to time, in regards to what's happening in the market conditions, right? Like when you look at things like look at the overall market, right? And having to remember XRP moves with the market, right? When you look at the altcoins, right, where are you at, right? If you were kind of in a lag, like for example, like when we had COVID happen, right? Like when people were screaming for COVID to happen again, or a crash back to the lows to happen again, just back in October, you know, we were already shifting way up in here, right? We're already zooming way up in here. That's why I deemed spicy here in the chat or in the live streams, because we just weren't exhibiting that behavior, right? Like when you got down in here, like we were just still weak. The market was just still weak, right? So if there was something that was going to be scary happening in there, you would expect it, right? But like you could see in here, like here's like a Wyckoff accumulation. Here's this whole thing, right? What is that? What is that on your Wyckoff? First to guess it wins $1 million fake dollars. There's your Wyckoff. What is that? That's your sign of strength. What's all this stuff? It's all that chop we're talking about right now, right? It's all that choppiness happening right here. And then it goes, right? So where are we at now? Things are very turned, right? So it seems unlikely that you would have it go do its own thing like that, when that's just not what the altcoin market in itself is doing. But if you start taking out lows, that option becomes possible, right? So due to what's occurring in the rest of the market, due to these things happening in here, it just seems so dang unlikely. You know what I mean? Like, and that in itself is like, so a lot of people attach narratives to XRP, like it's going to do its own thing, blah, blah, blah. It totally is doing what the market is doing. It totally inflicts pain and waits to be the last one to go. You've seen it 100 times before. We've gone through the charts on here before. And the longer it takes, the more people come up with, you know, it's not going to happen. Something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, it starts soaring. But things that we're watching real close is to say, we shouldn't be taking out these lows. It just shouldn't be happening in here. And we see that in multiple situations here, that you are on top of weekly support. You're on top of our 1.5 year long Wyckoff accumulation. And we're on top of the 200-week moving average. Break below, we have things to talk about of this is uncertain at this point. As of right now, though, it's perfectly fine. Andre Noor, dad joke of the day. Sorry. How many miners does it take to charge a light bulb? One miner to change it, and 999,999 miners to run in circles to determine who gets it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh no. Am I missing it? Am I missing it? All right. How many miners does it take to change a light bulb? 1 million. One miner to change it, and 999,999 miners to run in circles to determine who gets to do it. I'm guessing that's a Bitcoin mining joke? Yeah, validate. Bitcoin validators, yeah. Okay. Andre, thank you, sir. Crypto M2, hey BCB, thoughts on XRP, ETH chart? It's on macro support. Yeah. Eventually it'll reverse. We don't really do the altcoin versus other altcoins or versus Bitcoin charts on here, but there's no question Ethereum has been totally outperforming XRP. Brian McSweeney, BCB, if alts just reach retracements and don't break in all-time highs, what price could you see DOT reaching? Lurker every day. Right, if the whole thing only goes into a retracement, where would DOT's retracement be? You know that all retracement levels can cause issues, right? It's not one magic retracement to rule them all. So you have several of them to have problems at. The things that I'm going to be looking for, right? To kind of give you an idea, right? If we're moving up, as long as the world doesn't hit the fan, this is fake out, right? If we're moving up and we get like exact things that have made perfect sense, right? Like things that make perfect sense in markets, right? Like especially in Bitcoin, like we've seen in 2021 and like we've seen in 2018 and 17, right? That if things aren't going into their highs, and we see distribution happening in Bitcoin, we see weakness emerging in Bitcoin, daily lows happening in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's back into a retracement like this to say, hey, wherever the stuff is at, it's time to just be concerned about it. DOT is below all retracement levels, so it has a lot of them to go up on, right? The thing DOT has going for it, of course, lots of development activity on it, right? One of the biggest ones out there in regards to total developers and developer activity. So it's probably a sleeping giant. My thoughts on DOT. But in the event of just a retracement, all of them can be problems up in here. I would be watching to see what is actually happening with this relationship at that time. So I know you'd like a definitive answer on that to say, oh, this DOT in particular is certainly a 618er, you know. But you know, it could end up being any of them. Be one of those things looking for confluence. K-Swiss 702 Stacker. Hey, BCB, are you in cash at all? If so, are you deploying it all? I have 20% in cash in regards to crypto. I mean, in regards to my other stuff, right? Like that's just crypto portfolio. Just crypto alone is 20. That portfolio itself is 20% cash. Certainly have cash in other portfolios and other asset classes and own treasuries and high yield savings, right? Very little, almost negligible to no entries into the United States stock market right now. You could call me net short United States stock market right now with cash position. My longing of the market, my risk taking of the market is crypto, not equities right now. Kevin Smith, hey BCB, if 3 spicy chilies cost $9.50, what date will I be able to pay for them all with 1 XRP? Peace and love to you and your family, dude. Kevin Smith, thank you very much. The most creative when moon question we've gotten in quite some time. Thank you, sir. Daniel Crone, after the Dow tops, do you think it will have an extended retrace like Bitcoin just did? What do you think markets would do during that? I don't know. And like to be very clear, like I really doubt if it does even top here, right? I really do doubt this is some epic 3-year crash. Because the behavior of this has been so similar to those types that are more so like that, right? That are just slower, grinder, and last a long time. I'm certainly not calling, and I'm not even calling for this is going to be Great Depression. It's pointing all this data out to you. You've gotten to a 702 retracement on Bitcoin. You've gotten to the 4.236 extensions, and it's not like, oh crap, we just noticed this. We've been talking about it for 2 years, and the events are happening at the same time. It's astonishing. They're happening at the exact same time. But I would just so severely doubt that it would go down very quickly, that it would be more of a grinding, grueling style of event. And one that has a long time of distribution and gives people enough time to just kind of remain there and keep those animal spirits alive, right? And that's really what we've been looking for Bitcoin, to keep the animal spirits alive. And here you go. Like, you get pops like that in Uniswap, 65%. The animal spirits, dude. There's animal spirits. So there we go. But is that what your question is? If right? So if it's more something like that, right? That is what we've seen, right? So in these things, so we've spent a lot of time talking about NDXT doing something like that, Nasdaq doing something like that. That it buys more time, right? And maybe that the pausing of the federal funds gives something like that, right? Because this is exactly what we've had in those. That's what you're asking, right? Would it do something like that, like with Bitcoin did? So far, nothing saying it couldn't, right? And really, that's our like that's a super optimistic thing, right? Like we've talked about many, many times. So this is what my hope is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Send the dang thing to Vahilla. Let's go. But this is the thing that I'm like, okay, hopefully, like, that's the worst case thing that happens, right? And not this weekend some event happens and something sketchy occurs because of where we're at, right? And that's like what, just so you guys do know, there was no catalyst that happened here. There was none. It just got too overextended. All right, there you go. That's a good one. We have a dad joke. And like, you couldn't have found that on the internet. You must have come up with that on your own, and we'll take it. Sivorg says, "Hey BCB, do you think that the 702 is just a small bump in the road? I'm deathly afraid of speed bumps, but I'm slowly getting over them." But I'm good job, dude. All right, Kim589, thank you for keeping it real and grounded for us. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you all for tuning in and your support. Hey, Dad. Randall says, hey, Dad, my ex-girlfriend is a Bitcoin maxi. She tried to cut off my manhood, but was arrested. The police only charged her with... Okay. I can't say it. Thank you so much, Randall9. Appreciate it, brother. Must disturb. Hey, BCB, can you talk about housing market chart? Will we see a correction ever? I understand it's difficult, different than stock and crypto. Yeah, we don't do housing market here, right? It's such a complicated market. You would think that higher rates would stop people from buying. And it's hard to like imagine what people's behavior is when they buy here with an over 7% interest rate. Mind you, when I got my first house, I did have over 7% interest rate. I had like 7.25% interest rate. The amount of interest you're paying on it is insane. It is nuts how much interest you're paying and principal you're paying. Like, for example, if you have like a $1,500 house payment, which I know that number sounds crazy today, but like if you had like a $1,500 house payment, and your interest rate was 7.25%, you're only paying like $100 towards your principal every month, and you're paying like $900 towards interest. It was crazy. It was nuts. It was crazy. And like, that's what interest rates are right now. So you have these elevated housing prices and you have these elevated interest rates, but people are still buying. And I'm wondering if it's that same mindset of kind of like what retail investors have when it comes to the stock market, when it comes to the Fed cutting, because I know somebody who bought a house and I said, dang. And you know what he did? The same thing that you see a lot of people do. I'm just going to rent out my old house and have a recurring revenue stream from my other house, right? Like, well, why don't you just sell that one since it's worth so much, so that way you don't have to take out the loan on the second one and just apply all that principal towards the house. And like, you know, is he going to have a high mortgage? Oh, I want that recurring revenue stream. I'm like, yeah, but you know, your house is like really overvalued right now, right? It's like $1,200, or it's like 1,200 square feet, and it's like $450,000. You should probably sell that thing. You're not going to, your $300 of recurring revenue per month is not going to offset that ridiculousness. No, I'm just creating recurring revenue streams, passive income. Okay. So you just got a 6% interest on this house that is now 3 times the amount that the house that you had? Yeah, but you have to understand, the Fed will eventually cut, and I'll be able to refinance it. And I think that's a lot of the mindset right now on buying houses, is probably that people think I will be able to refinance it for, again, 3% at some point sometime soon. And I'm curious if that is the consumer sentiment right now when it comes to buying a house right now. I don't know, right? But that's the only logic I can make of it, for people to like be so passionate about buying a $500,000 house at an over 7% interest rate. Don't know. When they know that prices just skyrocketed. And I can only imagine it's probably really young people. I mean, if you're maybe under 35, like anybody over 35, anybody like over, yeah, like you've been through the great financial crisis after the housing market rose and it popped. Like, that's a nightmare you don't forget, man. That is when you don't forget being upside down on your house and you're just taking crappy jobs just to try to get by and to not foreclose on your house during that craziness. I don't know, man. Who is buying these elevated prices with these 7% interest rates? You're crazy. You're crazy. All right, I got to move on. The housing market, I don't know, man. Crazy. Andy Philpott, hit the likes, everybody. It doesn't cost anything. You get to see BCB smile. And PTW loves to see BCB in a good mood with some spices. Nobody likes the spices. All right, thank you very much, Andy. Please hit the like button, you guys. Key Kurumo, are you down for a BCB Netflix documentary when this is over and all your predictions come true? I know you're from the future. I'm not interested in like the limelight as much as people would think. I'm not. What I'd rather write is a book. I'd really rather write a book, not a documentary. Thank you. Deshaun Jayasina says, what do you think about ADA? Do you think similar outcome as XRP? Are you expecting a pullback for ADA? We get asked about ADA a lot. ADA is just waiting for its turn. Like all it takes is something like that. Like we're talking about here. And this is what we keep asking. People keep asking, let's do this with like ADA. This is why I don't give a direct answer on ADA, because we talk about this stuff quite a bit, right? There is this level down here. Right. However, at the time, it came down and it tested its first back supportive level. We could go through other charts and we could find, hey, here's Uniswap. It does come down to these levels down in here, right? But ADA did find support in here. What if ADA is only doing that? It could be, but this is also a potential area, right? You got Wyckoff in here. You've escaped Wyckoff. I wrote tweets about ADA that this was spring phase right back in here in June. Remember July and June? I put out that long thread. We include like 7 assets in the thing. ADA is one of them. That's spring. That's it. Boom. Now that we get out in here, it's like always about backtesting each level. Is that a reasonable support level? And have we found reasonable supports in other places in the market? Yes. Right. I also had somebody else asking me about ADA. Right in here, because they're like, hey, I'm going to buy ADA. And like everybody treats their things differently. But we use this term in here, right? You guys know it. What's the zone called? What is it? Dumb money zone, right? So it's the dumb money zone in between here. But if you get above all retracement levels, then you become into breakout levels, right? Potential breakouts. And then if you get down near the lower bounds, you become into value zones, right? So in here, it's just a lot of slop where it hasn't decided anything. You're at the 50% level of the actual range, right? Of the range. It doesn't mean it can't do that, but it would need like a confirmation to get it. Right? To get out of there. It doesn't seem, just based on what this market is doing, that we keep seeing these things, it doesn't seem likely ADA is going to go down there. It just doesn't seem likely that it's going to do it. But it's an open spot where those things happen. And I get asked about this one a lot, and I kind of give the same answer every time on this one in particular. But like if I had to lean the direction, it's that it's doing something like this and that its time's about to come. But you can, like, there's just confirmations to wait for, because right now it's in the dumb money zone. It falls, right? It goes back to a 786 retracement level. Now it's back into the dumb money zone. Now it's waiting on whether or not it can get into a breakout or if it get into a value, right? Anything in the middle, like I get it. People will be like, well, I think it's going to break up. I should have bought it now and not waited for the breakout. Yep. But what if it goes to the value zone? Like you're in the dead middle of it. So if it gets a break through the last retracement levels in here, be optimistic, right? And that's how I always am, right? Back to retracement levels, get to retracement levels, prove to me you're going to get out of them. Hey, let's go. It's go time, baby. All right. And Bitcoiners, my thoughts will probably change if we get through all the retracement levels. I get it. I'm kicked out of the group. I'm certain of it. Twitter will never let me live it down. No. You can't be optimistic now that we're through the retracement levels. But it's like, well, you know. We do the big ride at 200%. I let you guys do your own thing. You can figure out your own stuff. I don't care about that 25%. Hey, we're through them all now. I can be like, okay, cool. Now we have something to talk about. But that's how it always is on all of them, right? Like I've lost it. Do I still have it? No, it's just gone. ADA. There you are, ADA. Right. So you're in the zone. You gotta find your way out. It's things when you see like things like over there on Uniswap, you see things happening like that for VeChain, you see that happening on things like Filecoin, you see it on Seacoin, you see it in several different places that we're not going to these new lows. It looks optimistic for Cardano, right? And again, as it reiterates back to the XRP thing, it looks optimistic for XRP because of what we're seeing throughout the market. Not about a flip switching, not about a narrative. A narrative could come out at any time that would give it the necessary catalyst to create a narrative, right? Narratives are good. Narratives are strong. They create excitement. But we see the positive elements throughout the market because we have animal spirits in the market. The sentiment of the market is very positive, and the sentiment of the market is ready to throw money around and make some dang money. How many people buying Uniswap today, right? There's a lot of people out there who are probably like, oh, let's go, right? And that's what it is, right? Especially when you start getting a lot of these things taken up, people are just going to fly all over the place. Again, it's another one of those things. Being in the market for so many years, I kind of just keep watching the same movie over and over again. The problem is the movie can sometimes be long and drawn out, and like you just kind of keep telling your story of like, hey, yeah, when this movie played out last time, here's how it went, and then it takes long enough, people forget, like. Hey, where we said the movie would take us to, right? Like, no, F the movie. But yeah, ADA again. ADA is like my second largest bag, maybe third. It's third. It's XRP, Ethereum, Cardano. So I'm long. I'm long. But dang, that Seacoin bag maybe cash. If that thing doesn't stop every single day, it's weird, very weird. All right, I gotta get moving. I literally told my wife there's no chance I'll be longer than an hour today. I'm at an hour and 22, and I am 48 minutes behind. So guys, I appreciate all of your super chats. For the remainder of them, I'm not going to be able to pull up charts just because for time. I spent way too much time and I'm 40 minutes behind on super chat. So I'm going to say thank you. I'll read it. I'll try to answer it as quickly as I can without pulling up charts. But we're going to try to get through them. Larry Chisholm, good morning, BCB. If the NASDAQ closes where it's at today, it'll have a weekly close above the 4.236. Are you expecting this to roll over next week or the week after? I don't have a timing prediction for you, buddy. Larry, we've gone through these exact things for the last year and a half when it comes to the Netflix, when it comes to the NASDAQ, and when it comes to the Dow. The 2021 peaks over there going above the... Mine has gone blank. To 3.618 extensions. 4.236 extensions. We've used examples. I would look at things like Bitcoin, look at things like Ethereum 2020 to see examples of where you go above 3.618, and then you come back up to the 4.236, and then you just dance there for a long time. Nahal Sidhu, could you please analyze Ethereum? Thanks. Not today. Thank you very much, man. That's a comment a long time ago. Baby Oscar Hernandez, I appreciate it though, Nahal. Goo Goo Gaga, amigos. BCB. Any worry XRP will play out like EOS Zcash did last bull run? Late to run up and misses the boat as Bitcoin sells off. Well, that's typically the thing you always worry about, right? And XRP also loves to be late to the party, right? Things that, that's one of the things why I'm really trying to focus on that development activity, right? Because we see it. What's the one thing that hasn't worked? Flip the switch, secrets upon secrets, plans upon plans. Global reserve currency, SWIFT, ISO 22022. None of that has meant a dang thing, right? So focusing on user activity levels, focusing on that, right? We don't have anything indicating it's not going to yet, but things that would start building my concerns is definitely a break below 51 brings some concerns for sure. And JB Heavy Equipment Services Inc. You have always, it always happens when BCB is out of town. Bet XRP moons when he's at XRP Gold Coast. It hasn't happened. It has never happened that I've been out of town with XRP. Thanks, BCB, for always having our back. Guys, I think a lot of you forget, my favorite thing about that when people say, hey, go out of town, price goes up. I was on vacation and I was camping with no cell phone reception during COVID crash. During COVID crash. I come back, I'm like, what have you done? Yeah, that was crazy. Andy Philpott gifted 5 BCB memberships. Thank you very much, Andy. Demo. Hey, BCB, I think alt season, including XRP, will be complete before June of 2024. What do you think? Also, have you ever been to London? Any plans to visit? 1, I have not been to London. 2, your timing seems reasonable to me, right? If this is a distribution schematic, which my suspicion is it is, right? In that it's more along the lines of something like this. You would see things really start to take off in here. Just historically, that's kind of where you get things. So how long out could it take for something like that to happen? A month, 2 months, maybe, right? In that event, this is where things really get kicked off and fired up. I kind of give you an example right in here, right? Things just get kicked off and fired up after that. In the event that Bitcoiners are right and they make their 30% run right in here, that likely would come very quickly, and boom, off and away the altcoin market ends up going. And in looking at how much time there is for rate cuts and everything like that, which these things just keep getting pushed back, right? Your timing seems reasonable to me, but it is almost a sucker's game, really, a lot of times to try to guess timing. It's very, 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 very difficult. Mike, Uni really is the prime example of show me the chart and I'll tell you the news, huh? Thanks for what you do. Can't wait for more also pop up. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because we VeChain last week, right? I also just got a text from somebody and they had said there was some VeChain, or not VeChain news. Uniswap announced an upgrade that would enable staking rewards, right? So you just got some news, right? When was VeChain? Was that earlier this week or was that last week? That was a week and 1 day ago. So that was last Thursday. Right, last Thursday is the VeChain thing, and we're like, well, hey, there's plenty of charts out there that actually look exactly like this, right? And the only one that we actually ended up showing was Uniswap. But there's many more out there that look exactly like that. But you're exactly right. Show me a chart, and I'll tell you the news. These setups are everywhere throughout the market for the altcoins. Whiskey Dog 6 gifted a BCB membership. Thank you very much, Whiskey Dog 6. And Mike, thank you very much. Come and see Jesus, a BCB. What kind of cough requires no meds? A Y cough. Very good. Very good. We're doing TA jokes now. K Smith 702 Stacker. Do you own any Atom BCB worth nibbling at this time? I do own some Atom. Let's see. Is Atom doing the same thing? Yeah, Atom's got that same one, guys. Atom's got the same one as Uniswap and VeChain. Wink, wink. Okay. ALS. Spot you. Thank you very much for the generous super chat, ALS. Thank you. Nick Laidman. The 4 answer. Just as far as Elliott wave theory, does it make sense? Monthly chart XRP, April through June. Oh no, Nick. The 4. Thanks for the answer. Just as far as Elliott wave theory goes, does it make sense? Monthly chart of XRP, April through June. Line 1, September. Nick, I'm sorry, brother. I don't. Going through that could take me 15 minutes to try to figure all that out. How you've typed it. And to try to create a chart on it. We'll try to dedicate more time to it, and maybe I'll do a better job managing time tomorrow. I apologize. We're so deep into this thing, man. I can't keep pulling them up. But thank you very much, Nick. Black Cat, is the Sandbox a good alt to buy, or is it full of El Cromo? You need your drums for these jokes. I don't follow Sandbox. In my recollection of Sandbox on the development report was really down, but that could be wrong. But that was my recollection. It's something I don't own. It doesn't mean it's not, but it's just not. It's not something I monitor. Look at all the assets on the right side of the screen. I mean, that's just a small sample size of what this market is. There's so many out there. People are certainly going to spot stuff that I don't see coming from a mile away. But maybe there was a reason why that one was not on my list. It may have been due to declining developers or not active development activity or no tracking of development activity. But it's not something on my radar, or do I own it? Crypto Rico says, hey, BCB, if the altcoin market is doing something similar to the gold structure, as you said, could it hit a 4.236 on the total 2 tracing the fib from January of 2018 top to 2019 bottom? Could something similar to the Dow Jones Industrial Average getting 4.236 and tracing from 2008? Make it quick. We'll make it very quick. Right. So total 2 is shy, right? This is the $1 million question, right? Let's do total 2 and let's subtract. I don't know what this is going to look like, so we're going to actually find out together. We're going to subtract the stable coins. I wish we could have whatever UST was at that time, right? Because that was like $60 billion at the time, right? And that would have been included in total 2. So we don't even have a market cap for UST anymore. It's just gone. So we have to kind of do it without that. So without stables. Oh no, you're not going to give it to me? Dang, we don't have a measurement. Last chart of the day. This is last chart of the day. Okay, let's do market cap minus okay, all right, hold on. Obviously much more difficult here, but we'll get it. Does that work? Come on. All right, what if we just subtract? Let's not do multi-collateral. Let's get rid of that one. No. I messed one up, obviously. Let's get rid of that one. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Well, dude, we'll have to try tomorrow. Because we don't get the historical data. It gives us a cutoff here. Why are we getting cut off? We're getting cut off probably because of USD coin, right? No. Right. No, we're getting cut off. Okay, we're just going to do a tether. Which isn't fair because we also have, we know we have, what is the peak of the supply? Let's go see what the supply of USDC was on November 8th, 2021. Right here, 34 billion. Oh, it's not that much. It's only right there. Interesting. Excuse me. Sorry. Interesting thought. Interesting thought on a level, right? So be looking for confluences elsewhere at the same time, right? We'll see. All right. Good eye, though, Crypto Rico. Something to think about. I'll ponder it. Robert Paul. Love from Romania, BCB. Are you staking any of your bags? Asking for DOT, man. Like, I've been lazy with staking stuff. Straight up. I've been lazy. Am I staking? Yes. Am I staking everything that I should be? No. I'm not. Doesn't mean I shouldn't be. I probably should be. Staking can often lead to not only, accrued interest, but those airdrops, those fancy airdrops. So no, I'm not staking everything, but I should be. It's more of just what have I prioritized in my life. For some reason, I haven't prioritized that. Black Cat. It was supposed to be a bad joke because cats use. It was supposed to be an El Crapo joke because dad joke. It was supposed to be an El Crapo dad. It was supposed and so. Why am I having why am I stumbling here? It was supposed and El Crapo. It was a dad joke because cats use it as a litter box. Over my head. Black Chat, thank you. Digital Wild, new member, welcome. Ethan Davis, last one. There we go. Friday fluff. I think I fluffed it already. We're just kind of telling my crypto story. Otherwise, no, not a whole lot of fluff to give today because I've already gone an hour and 37 minutes. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're doing great. It's been a very busy week for me right now. Outside of crypto, I have a lot going on in my personal life right now. Everything is totally fine. It's just really, really, really busy for me on other things going on in my life right now, which are all good things. Just I have a lot of responsibilities right now. And it's been a busy week, a couple busy weeks. And I'm looking forward to traveling. I don't want to bore you guys with the fluff of just like, here's how my fish are doing. They're still there. They're still doing their thing. I've been playing remote control race cars a lot lately. We've been doing remote control race cars. That's been pretty dope. RC cars. But that's about all the fluff I got for you. It's been busy for me, and it's an exciting time in markets. It's so crazy. It's just such a crazy time right now. Believe me, I'm cheering for the best outcome. Just as a firm believer of magical unicorns and fairy dust that's tossed off of Magic Cats by Taylor Swift. And simulations and God and all the craziness to see us at these 4.236 extensions and to see Bitcoin back at the 702 retracement at the same time. It's just a, oh my God. just trying to get through it. Right. So, but otherwise, we're doing good. We're doing good. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and being here and being a part of it every day. And we consistently had over 2,000 people tuning into the show every day. And that's insane in itself. There's a lot of you guys who have been here through all the thick and the thin, all through the screaming that the 12Kers were wrong and the initiation of Spice BCB. He started right here. The Bears will get left behind. The spicy BCB. Looks like it's stuck. But otherwise, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope that you all have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Again, you guys could check out the XRP Gold Coast. I put a link there in the subscription. But you could my newsletter, if you want to really see the things that are going on and the things that I'm seeing and more of a written out format, which all these newsletters come with voiceovers in here, over here on Substack. You can get it at blockchainbacker.substack.com. This is where I put a lot of research and data and analysis and to show you what's going on in the market in these things, and whether you're interested in looking like developer activity for altcoins or user activity levels and how those things have related to the market, or if you want to see things like this and the convergence of this incredible moment that we're in right now with the United States stock market, gold, and crypto and everything at the same time. That's what the most recent one is, and with audios. And of course, guys, if you want to watch more videos by me, I have over 40 of them over here on bcbacker.com with over 11 hours of content. So I wish you all an absolutely wonderful, wonderful weekend. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I missed a couple of super chats really quick. The Average Caveman. BCB, how do you feel about the app Autopilot? It was made to expose how politicians are using their platforms for insider trading and giving us the updated real-time info on the trading. I don't know. Never heard of it. Pretty crazy, right? Crypto Rico, thanks, man. You are the best. I learned all I know from you all. Thank you, Crypto Rico. And thank you, The Average Caveman. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one. We should end it with the outro music. I got a big old goofy smile over here. All right, goodbye, guys. Have a nice weekend.